Hello and welcome to my next NAP. NAP stands for Nonprofit Auditor Points, and I'm Irina Orishkova, your nonprofit auditor. I created this NAP just to provide information and share my experience with nonprofit community. Okay, let's talk about accrual vacations. This is a simple but very often overlooked topic, and sometimes we do see that nonprofits have questions. What is vacation accruals? Why we need to record them? How much we need to record them? But the most important, what is the policy and procedures around accrual vacations? The most concerning part around accrual vacations that it's only done from time to time, maybe annually in the best case scenario, and sometimes board without even voting decided to increase some accrued vacation for one specific employee. Let's discuss accrual vacations. What is vacation accruals? Vacation accruals is amount paid vacation time to an employee that has been earned by employee each month but have not been used. It means it's a liability by the organization. So organization accumulates liability for the amount that employee earned accrual vacation time but have not been paid. Because eventually once it's paid, it will be paid on a current payroll rate. Rate needs to be adjusted every time when accrual vacation is recorded. Why it is matter to record accrual vacation? Once again, because it represents financial liability by the organization. If employees accumulate a lot of vacation, that could be quite substantial amount of money. If nonprofit does not record or update its accrual vacation amount, then financial statements are not correctly presented. Liability will be overstated, and then employees will not even know what amount of accruals they have if there is no sufficient schedule is maintained. Therefore, in order to start good policy around accrual vacation, nonprofit need to develop the system how accrued vacation is tracked. The simplest way, it could be used in Excel. Excel spreadsheet can be used to track vacations, but it's not preferred way. A lot of payroll companies provide vacation travel software where every time when nonprofits submit their payroll information, they also submit vacation, meaning which employee took a vacation, and payroll company calculates accumulated unused vacation. For that, each nonprofit needs to submit the following information for each employee: hire date, hours accrued for each pay period, total hours earned at the end of the period, total hours taken, and what is the balance, running balance available. And the last but not least, if the employee reached the cap. Cap is the maximum allowable accrual amount, at which if employee reached the cap, employee stops accruing. Like I mentioned before, a lot of payroll companies do have their own built-in accrual tracking system, and if nonprofit uses Gusto or Paycheck or ADP, they will track for you accrual vacation. However, it's not done automatically. The proper information needs to be provided to payroll provider, and they will provide accrued vacation schedule. Therefore, the accruals will be updated every month. To proper maintain the accrual schedule, employer needs to decide, employer, which is nonprofit organization, needs to decide if they will allow borrow against the vacation time. Ideally, it should be prohibited, but some employers do allow. Also, if nonprofit sets up their own accrual vacation schedule, or they can talk to their payroll provider who does that for them, they need to indicate that they want to know if the vacation gets a negative balance, or give them a red flag when employee stops accruing, meaning employee reaches the gap. So maybe at that time, employer, which is nonprofit organization, will ask employee to take a vacation so the employee can continue accruing. Otherwise, there are going to be no more accumulation of vacation time. And also employer, which is nonprofit, still need to make sure that they review the schedule from time to time, make sure that the schedule is in accordance with the policy, with the organization policy. The critical part of reviewing it's to ensure that if you're using your payroll provider to track your vacation, if nonprofit changes accrued vacation policy, it could be number of hours accumulated each pay period, or change in a cap, you provide this information to your payroll company so they can know about the changes and update it in the system. It is also highly recommended to adjust your accrual amount monthly. If it's not monthly, at least quarterly. So what does it mean? It means that it's at the end of the period, at the end of the months, in order to reflect proper accrual vacation amount, nonprofit needs to calculate the running balance of unused vacation multiplied by current pay rate of the employee, come up with a total accrued vacation amount, and record debit accrued vacation expense and credit accrued liability. So increasing liability for the organization. Again, very important that you need to use the current pay rate for the employee, right? And that can be done monthly. Annually, we would advise nonprofit to go even deeper to review the schedule. First of all, make sure that accrual amount per schedule that provided by your payroll company matches the books. One more time, it's reconciles, right? Make sure that the current policy is implemented. So meaning that if every employee has a cap of 240 hours, that nobody accrues more than that cap, that it's enforced. Whether any employee exceeds allowed limit, and if such happens, proper actions needs to be taken. Whether liability is materially misstated, if it's properly recorded in general ledger, and just make sure that accrual amount is communicated to every employee, and every employee in agreement with how much accruals they accumulated. See if there's any mistakes. Every employee typically within the organization gets not only vacation time, but they also receive sick time. Sick time is treated differently, and unused sick time is not get accrued. It's either use it or lose it. So every employee gets, for example, 8 hours a month, and if it's not used, it's not get carried over, or at the end of the year it's expired. And therefore, there should not be accrued sick time. And it's very useful for non-profit to communicate to employees, so everybody on the same page, that we do not allow sick leave to be paid out. You either take it or you're gonna lose it. Since it's a temporary benefit, it does not get carried over from one year to another, and it's different from accrued vacation, used for different purpose. An employer, which is nonprofit, has no financial obligation to pay out the funds. So it's a benefit that does not have a cash value. That's important for employees to understand the difference between sick leave and accrued vacation time. When nonprofit records accrued vacation, it's very important for your accounting department or your payroll provider to have the most recent pay rate and make sure that the proper rate is used. Also, very often, nonprofits have various eligibility requirements for vacation. So how much each employee accruing, depending, for example, on their time, how long they've been with the organization. If, for example, if employee between 1 and 3 years, they only accruing 8 hours a month. If the employee been employed more than 3 years but less than 5 years, they're accruing 10 hours and so forth. Therefore, somebody needs to review if accrued vacation is actually following these policies that are stated in the employee handbook. Typically, accrued vacation policy is stated in the handbook. Additionally, if employee requests vacation, which is reduction of the accrual, that needs to be properly documented and approved. So it needs to be some process where the employee submits a request, management signs it, and it's documented properly. So reduction of the accrual amount needs to have a support. And there has to be carryover rules. Some nonprofits do not allow carryover of vacation at the end of the year, therefore employees are forced to take vacation, or if nonprofit allows to carry over vacation from 1 year to another year, be careful that cap is actually, once it's reached, employee needs to be aware that they are now accruing, they reach cap and they do not accrue any more payroll vacation time. Once nonprofit has a good policy, set up a policy which approved by the board, employees needs to be aware of that policy. A policy needs to be distributed to employees, and they need to make sure that they are aware how it gets accrued when they reach cap and if they are required to take a vacation. Board needs to be informed, and hopefully board is voting if any change to policy of accruals. As I indicated before, periodic accrual vacation schedule, review of accrual vacation schedule is necessary by the management, by somebody who is outside of creating schedule, to ensure that the proper pay rate, proper accrual percentage is used, and the employee and proper documents for taking vacation is retained. To summarize, retaining accrued vacation policy procedures and follow the organization's own policies procedures is critical. Why? Because first of all, accrued vacation, it's a liability for nonprofits, and that part of the payroll, if employees are not aware or not in agreement with accrued amount, nonprofit can be sued, and financial statements can be not properly presented if nonprofit is not correctly representing accrued vacation at the end of the year. And also, there is a difference between accrued vacation and sick leave. They're different, and nonprofits should be liable for accrued vacation time, but nonprofit has no liability for sick leave because sick hours do not have a cash value. Thank you so much. Hopefully it was useful. Have a wonderful day and be safe.